Karen held a wedding on my ranch without consent, so I let the guard dogs handle it. Have you ever had a neighbor who thought your property was their personal playground? It started with a faint hum of music drifting over the rolling hills of my Montana ranch. I was sipping coffee on my porch, expecting another quiet Saturday, when I noticed a parade of cars snaking up my private dirt road. Tents were popping up like mushrooms near my barn, and a white gazebo was being erected by strangers in my pasture. A weddinga full-blown wedding was unfolding on my land, and I hadn't been invited, let alone asked. My jaw hit the floor when I spotted Karen, my nosy neighbor from the subdivision a mile away, barking orders in a glittery mother of the bride dress. This wasn't a mistake. Karen had hijacked my ranch for her daughter's big day. I grabbed my binoculars and scanned the scene. Caterers were unloading trays of shrimp cocktail. A DJ was setting up speakers, and at least 80 guests were milling around, trampling my wildflower meadow. My blood boiled. Karen had always been a boundary pusher, complaining about my tractor noise, borrowing my Wi-Fi without asking, even letting her yappy chihuahua chase my chickens. But this was a new level of audacity. I'd never given her permission to set foot here, let alone host a 3-ring circus. I pulled on my boots, called my 2 guard dogs, Titan and Luna, and headed down to confront her. As I approached, Karen spotted me and plastered on a fake smile. "Oh, hi, neighbor," she chirped, as if I'd stumbled onto her backyard barbecue. "We're just using this little patch for my daughter's wedding. You don't mind, right? It's such a picturesque spot." I blinked, stunned by her gall. "Karen, this is my property. You didn't ask. You need to leave. Now." Her smile vanished, replaced by a scowl. "Don't be so selfish," she snapped. "It's just one day. We're not hurting anything. Besides, you're out here all alone. What do you even need this land for?" The crowd hushed, sensing drama. I felt my fists clench. "Get off my land or I'll make you," I said, voice low. Karen laughed, tossing her hair. "Good luck with that. We're staying." That's when I noticed a flicker of movement in the crowd. A teenage boy, maybe 16, sneaking toward my barn with a spray can in hand. Graffiti? On my barn? I'd had enough. I whistled sharply, and Titan and Luna, my 100-pound Anatolian shepherds, perked up from their spot in the shade. These dogs were bred to protect livestock from wolves. A trespassing wedding party was child's play. "Karen," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Last chance." She crossed her arms, defiant. "You wouldn't dare." I gave the dogs a single command: patrol. Titan and Luna sprang into action, bounding toward the wedding setup with deep, booming barks that echoed off the hills. Guests screamed, dropping champagne flutes as the dogs weaved through the crowd, herding them like spooked cattle. Tables tipped over, sending cake and floral arrangements crashing to the ground. The DJ abandoned his equipment, sprinting for his van. Karen shrieked, "Call the police! She's attacking us!" But the dogs weren't attacking, just doing their job, circling and barking, pushing the intruders toward the road. The teenage vandal dropped his spray can and bolted, tripping over a tent stake in his panic. Couldn't help but smirk. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. As the chaos unfolded, an older man in a suit pushed through the fleeing guests, waving his arms. "Stop! Stop!" he yelled, running toward me. I called the dogs to heel, expecting another entitled guest to lecture me. Instead, he introduced himself as Tom, Karen's husband and the actual owner of their house. "I'm so sorry," he panted, red-faced. "Karen told me this was a public venue she'd rented. I had no idea this was your land." My anger faltered. Tom looked genuinely mortified, explaining that Karen had spun a tale about a rustic ranch she'd booked for the wedding, even showing him fake emails from a non-existent event planner. She'd lied to her own family to pull this off. Tom's revelation shifted the mood. Guests, now huddled by their cars, started muttering, piecing together Karen's deception. Her daughter, the bride, burst into tears, mascara streaking her face. "Mom, you said this was all paid for," she wailed. Karen's confidence crumbled. She stammered, Two just wanted you to have the perfect day, but the crowd wasn't buying it. Even her own family turned on her, embarrassed by the mess she'd created. I almost felt sorry for her almost. But then I remembered my trampled meadow, my violated property, and the graffiti kid she'd likely egged on. Sympathy evaporated. I crossed my arms and faced Karen. You have 30 minutes to clear out, or I call the sheriff. And you're paying for any damage. She opened her mouth to argue, but Tom cut her off. We're leaving, he said firmly, dragging her toward their car. The guests scrambled to pack up, leaving behind broken chairs, spilled food, and a toppled gazebo. Titan and Luna sat by my side, tails wagging, as I watched the caravan of cars disappear down the road. The teenage vandal, I later learned, was Karen's nephew, grounded for a month after Tom saw the spray can. My barn was spared, but my meadow would need months to recover. By sunset, the ranch was quiet again, save for the crickets and the soft huff of my dogs. I poured myself a whiskey and sat on the porch, replaying the day. Karen's stunt wasn't just about a wedding, it was about control, about thinking she could take what wasn't hers because she felt entitled to it. But she'd learned the hard way, my land, my rules. Tom called the next day, offering to cover the cost of reseeding the meadow and fixing a broken fence. I accepted, but I made it clear Karen wasn't welcome anywhere near my property again. He didn't argue. The story spread like wildfire in our small town. Neighbors I barely knew stopped by with beers, laughing about the wedding crashers and toasting my dogs. Karen, I heard, was keeping a low profile, her social status in the subdivision trashed. Her daughter's wedding was rescheduled at a proper venue, paid for by Tom, who seemed determined to make things right. I felt a twinge of guilt for the bride, caught in her mother's mess, but she'd be okay. As for me, I installed a new gate at the end of my road and a few no trespassing signs, just in case Karen got any more bright ideas. This whole mess got me thinking about boundaries, how some people respect them, and others, like Karen, trample them without a second thought. I stood my ground, and my dogs had my back. But what would you have done? Was I too harsh, letting Titan and Luna loose? Or did Karen deserve every bit of that chaos? Share your thoughts. I am curious to hear how you'd handle a neighbor who thinks your home is their stage.